So just as we did in the first mole calculations tutorial, where we looked at doing calculations involving specific variables, now this time we're going to have some different variables involved. And so here we have the mass, the number of moles, and the molar mass as our three variables that have a relationship with one another. That's important. And remember, we talked about the molar mass being the thing that connects grams and moles. So obviously mass is measured in grams and moles is measured in moles, and the molar mass is the thing that connects those two values with units of grams per mole. And I will continue to use a unit-based approach, but for the formula approach, here's the relevant formula for finding mass, and here's for finding number of moles. And of course you could rearrange to find the molar mass, or you could use the triangle to help you remember the formula. But again, in looking at the units, taking the unit-based approach, we have when we're finding the mass measured in grams, we multiply the moles by the grams per mole, or we multiply the number of moles by the molar mass. And if we're trying to find the number of moles, we multiply the grams, and then we have to invert our conversion factor, or invert our molar mass, so that we get our grams canceling out. Another way of thinking of that is you're just dividing the mass by the molar mass as seen up here. So both question 1 and 2, it's not as formal approach as what we took in the first tutorial on mole calculations, but still some key things present. And so I've identified what it is we're trying to find, and in the first case here we're looking for the mass of calcium phosphate. I didn't write down the given information, but we know that we have 0.1 moles or 0.10 moles of the calcium phosphate. And so before we can find the mass of the calcium phosphate that is contained in 0.10 moles, we need to find the molar mass of the calcium phosphate, and that is what is shown here. We then take this value, which becomes our conversion factor, and we multiply it by the piece of information that we were given, the 0.10 moles, and we arrange the conversion factor in such a way that our number of moles cancel out. And so that we have moles in the numerator, moles in the denominator. They will cancel out as shown here, and we are left with units of grams, which is what we want, and we write our value to the appropriate number of significant digits, which in this case is 2. And as a quick little mental check, we see that our answer is 31 grams, and we know that our answer needs to be less than 310.18 grams, because that would be the mass if we had 1 mole of calcium phosphate, but we don't have 1 mole, we've got 0.10 moles. So we've got 1/10 of a mole, and so this answer makes sense. It's about 1/10 of this is 1/10 of the value of this. For question number 2, instead of starting with number of moles as we did with number 1, we are starting with a mass. So again, we need to find our molar mass, which will serve as our conversion factor, or the other value that we need to connect grams and moles. And I write down then, after we find our molar mass of 293.88 grams per mole, we know that we are trying to find the number of moles of calcium iodide. We write down that piece of information that we are given, the 25.0 grams, and then we arrange our molar mass in such a way that the grams cancel out. And that leaves us with the units of moles, and we simply multiply 25 by 1 and then divide it all by 293.88, and we get 0.0851 moles. We can write that in using scientific notation as 8.51 times 10 to the minus 2 moles. And just note that we have the 3 significant digits here based on the fact that we were given 3 significant digits here, and we have more than that here, so this 25.0 is what determines our number of significant digits. And again, as a quick mental check, we know that the mass of 1 mole of calcium iodide is 293.88 grams, and so if we only have 25 grams, our answer should definitely be less than 1 mole, and clearly it is. So hopefully you find after this second tutorial related to mole calculations that your comfort level is increasing. I encourage you to keep practicing, to do all of the practice problems that are related to this material. and hopefully you find yourself getting more and more comfortable as you go.